Hey, I know your time is limited, so I want to get straight to the point. In this video, I'm going to show you how I've helped churches all over the country to see an increase in attendance, an increase in membership, an increase in donations, and just create a great culture that creates momentum. I helped a church in Atlanta, and when they were done, they saw a 27% increase in attendance. There's a church in South Florida that I helped to create a brand for, and when they launched on their first day, they saw 387 people come to that first service. In at Kansas City, I helped another church, and when we were done with their process, their branding process, they reported back that they saw a 30% increase in donations taking place as a result of the branding process. I want to show you how this is done. In this video, I'm going to show those strategies to you. If you're a church leader and you're thinking, man, there's just something missing. Like I'm just missing something. We're working really hard. We seem to be doing all the right things. Then I want to encourage you to listen through this video and see if branding might be the tool that you're missing that really helps you to cut through the noise and reach the people that are in your city. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is Water's Edge Church. We helped them create a new brand. They were launching in Nashville. And a brand is much more than a logo. It's the strategy, it's the words, it is the colors and the fonts and the visual things that go with it. It's the website, it's the video that you put together. All of that is branding. And when you create a strategy, a plan that is clear, people will buy in. They'll buy into what you're presenting to them and they'll be a part of it. Let me show you another one. This is United Church. United Church is reaching people in an active community. They go up to the mountains. They're located between the mountains and the ocean in the Carolinas. So they're reaching these professionals with families and that are very active. And we created this new brand for them, went through a branding process with their team, and the results have been amazing to see them come through. In fact, there was two churches that came together to form one church, and that's where the name United came from. And we were able to work with them and help them walk through the process of how do you create a fresh new brand that unifies everybody in the church, but also presents that church well to the community. This is Christ Walk Church. They're on an island, and their community, their target audience is completely different from a different church that might be in an urban city or maybe in the middle of Iowa. So we created a unique brand just for them. And these are some brands that we've created. I just want to show you what this starts to look like as you lean into the strategy that's unique to your church to reach the people that you are good at reaching. So things are different than what they used to be. The world looks different, and the internet is a big part of that. It's changed a lot of things. We used to book a hotel to stay at a different city, but now we can get an Airbnb. We have options, and a lot of times we can save a lot of money and have an even better experience when we do it that way. We used to go to the store to get the things we want, but now Amazon brings those things to us right to our doorstep. We used to book a friend way ahead of time to take us to the airport when we have that flight. You know, you try to arrange and try to get that in place. Now you can get an Uber whenever you need it. We used to make a mixed tape, you know, where you hit record on the radio and try to record your favorite songs and put it together. Now we have Spotify, where we can just drag our favorite song into a playlist and we're good to go. In church world, we have to realize this too, that we used to do church in a certain way, like when we grew up. But now, mainly because of technology and the internet and how things work today, we need to think differently about how do we present church. The gospel is the same. It's just the presentation, how we get it out to people, how we meet people where they are, that we need to be thoughtful of and mindful of. And I've helped many, many churches, dozens and dozens, hundreds of churches go through the branding process to create a unique brand that's specific to them to help them cut through the noise and reach their city. You need to do the same thing. This is the process. You have to first get clear about who you serve. So you have to define who they are. And listen, from a spiritual perspective, everyone is welcome. But from a branding perspective, when we try to target too many people with our messaging, our colors, our fonts, and our website, then it becomes noise and nobody pays attention to us. So we have to get focused and clear. That's what great brands do. It's why you buy your favorite brands because they are focused and clear to reach you where you are. From that clarity, we need to then create the right experience. So the right experience happens online. It's the website. It's in person. It's the lobby experience that people have. The right experience is going to drive the trust that people have in you, so that ultimately they decide to be a part of it. A great brand also attracts people. It has to have a way to get new people to come in. And then finally, a great brand gets people to say, I'm in. I want it. So if you go to Amazon, you look up that product and you find finally what you want. You want that buy now button to where you can then get it. So a great brand does these four things really well. And as a church, I want to show you how to do this. Like how do you get new people to come in, and then how do you get them to say, I want to be a part of this? So they're not just leaving through the back door. So one example is by having a great website. So the website bridges the gap between the experience that you're providing for people that's in line with the brand. So the website, the way it looks, the what it has on there, the words, that's going to be clear to point back to the brand, the vision of what God has given you. And then it needs to attract people. So let me show you a couple of examples of what this looks like. So this is Trinity Temple. This is a church in Kansas City, and we created this website for them after going through the branding process. So it's very unique to them and who they are, the audience they're trying to reach, and how they're trying to do that through the type of ministry that they do. This is Calvary. Calvary is a church that's in Pella, Iowa, a small farming community in the middle of Iowa. So it looks and feels completely different, but that's the point. A brand is unique to you, who you are, and the people that you serve. And then finally, this is V1 Church in Manhattan, New York, downtown New York. They have multiple campuses. They meet in movie theaters, and they're very trendy to reach this particular audience that lives in New York City. And so they do things completely different from the other two churches. But that's the point. Like I want to show that to you, that what you need to do is create an experience that's unique to the audience that you're trying to reach. From there, we need to attract them to come and then help them to take next steps. So this is a vibrant church in South Florida. We're creating an environment, a physical environment with signs that allows people to understand their next steps. So it's very clear, like, hey, first of all, you're in the right place. So we're making it very, very clear with the brand colors, the logos, the messaging, that you're in the right place. But then we're also saying these are your next steps. By the way, this church meets in a movie theater, so they have to set up and tear this stuff down every single week. This is what it looks like. We're putting messaging out there that's in line with the branding. Again, setting up and tearing it down every week because it matters. Like we're going through the efforts of doing this because it matters. People really do pay attention to this. This is just a glimpse of the inside of the building as we walk people through the environment. We're communicating who we are. We're adding value to them, helping them to understand us quickly before they even have a chance to talk to the pastor. That's what a great brand does. It helps people to understand you quickly so that they can decide, like, yeah, this is it. I've been looking for this. Let me take a moment. My name is Michael. I'm with Church Brand Guide. Church Brand Guide is what I started, but my family actually made a decision a couple of years ago, a really big one. And that was to move from Kansas City to South Florida to be part of a new church that's going to start in a city where 93% of people do not go to church. And so we felt, Melissa and I, we put together our own family brand. So yeah, that's right. I kind of geek out on this branding stuff. So we created a brand for our family. And in it, we have a vision, a mission, and a purpose. And through that, we decided that, hey, our family, we need to take our kids on a mission together. And so we did this thing. We moved across the country. And one of the things about having a brand is that it makes it simple and easy for people to understand the why. Why is this something that we're doing? So one of the reasons that we have a brand for our family is to communicate big ideas in a very simplistic way so that a 4-year-old can understand it. So we have phrases like, we are tidy. Tidy is a phrase that points back to generosity, which is one of our values. But tidy is a word that my kids, my 4-year-old, can understand. So we want to do the same thing for your church. So this is just, by the way, this is what the family brand looks like for me. And yeah, we have this posted on our wall. It's a big poster, and it helps us to remember who we are as a family. And Church Brand Guide really came out of this idea. How can I help churches to create brands that allows them to cut through the noise and reach the people that they are trying to reach. And again, we've seen success over and over again as we're able to create brands to help churches do this. And in the branding course that I created, I want to help people just like you walk through this process. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But here's the first big idea. So listen, take some notes. This is going to be extremely helpful for you. I've seen it over and over again, the aha moments as I present this to church leaders all across the country. If you really simplified what a church is, well, first of all, a church is a lot of things. And if you've been in church for a long time, you know it's a lot of great things. But what you need to do is simplify it so that people can understand it quickly. We can't tell them the 112 things that are great about a church. Like, that's just not going to work. It's too much noise. But I'm going to submit to you that there are 4 things that a church does extremely well that reaches people where they are. Number 1, a church provides hope. Number 2, a church provides connection or community, a place to belong. Number 3, a church is a place where you can grow, become a better version of yourself. And number 4, a church is a place where you find significance, where your life makes a difference. So what if we communicated those 4 big ideas very clearly and concisely in our own unique way, in our own unique language? I guarantee your church does these things, but now we just need to communicate it in a way so people understand it. And then they'll say, wow, that's exactly what I need in my life. And again, that's why we've seen the results that we've seen. We have to be intentional. I know that's what branding does. It's a tool that helps us to be intentional. The branding process is all about getting everybody on the same page and being intentional to create an attractive church that is sticky. People just don't leave. They stick around and they want to be a part of it. So when we do this, when we get this right, we're able to see more people come as a result of the momentum that we create. We rally the church. We create a consistent experience that is attractive. It builds trust and people want to come and be a part of that. It resonates with multiple generations. It builds a good culture. It communicates values to our guests and our members before they even have a chance to hear the sermon or even talk to the pastor. It unlocks the next level of growth. When we get branding right, it helps us in so many different ways. Let me show you Pastor Brandon. Here's what he had to say. So we walked him through this process. He said, Michael worked with me to hone in on our vision, and he created the right logo and website for us. He goes on to say, half of our new guests report that they come because they found our website on Google and they liked what they saw. And that's exactly what you want. You want to create an experience where people who need you find you. And then they realize, wow, that's exactly what I need. So Pastor Brandon's in South Florida. He's doing a great job down there in just outside of Fort Lauderdale. This is some of what it looks like inside his environment. So this is Vibrant Church. I'm actually part of this church. I'm down here hanging out with him and doing this thing together with him. So we're communicating value. So live a better story is the value we want to add to people. And that's what branding does. It helps you to cut through the noise and say, hey, what is the benefit that we offer? Let's make sure we make that really, really big and bold so people can understand it. When they do, they show up and they come and they want to be a part of it. So again, the world looks different. We used to just open up the doors to the church and people would come because they were supposed to come. But today, that's not the case. People don't know why they need a church. And we need to make sure we tell them, this is why. The Bible says or tells us about branding in different ways. And I kind of see it because I have my branding goggles on. But God knows how we think, and he does things in line with how we think. And branding is really about a mindset. Like how do people think and how we tap into that. So one of the scriptures that I found really helpful is 1 Samuel. This is the story of King David being chosen as a king over his 7 brothers who were bigger and stronger, but yet David was chosen. And the prophet says, people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And that's why David was chosen to be king. But there's 2 statements. And the first one is true. People look at the outward appearance. And we have to pay attention to that because people really do judge a book by its cover. They're judging your church by what they see on your website. They're judging your church by the sign on your building, the logo that they see. And they're saying, man, these people get me or they don't get me. And it's extremely, especially in our culture today, after COVID has sent everybody online to experience things online, we have to pay attention to this like never before. You know, in Matthew chapter 4, it talks about how Jesus called his first disciples and he said, I will teach you to be fishers of men. Fishing's hard. You have to know where people are, or you have to know where the fish are. You have to know where what kind of bait to use. You have to know all these different things in order to catch the fish. They don't just come and jump in the boat. And fishing for men is the same thing. We just have to be intentional. You have to know where they are and go reach them. Branding allows us to cut through the noise. There's just a lot of noise happening in our world, and branding helps us to let people know why we are important to them in a very systematic way, a very simple way, where they can see the value we want to add to them. The second big idea. So I shared with you one big idea of like, hey, how do you simplify the communication of your church, the value you provide to them? The second big idea I want to share with you in this video, again, it's going to move the needle for you. It's going to help you out a lot. It's a marketing path. Like, what is the journey we're taking people through? First, we have to understand what the journey is. We need to help strangers become first-time guests, and then to become an attender where they come back for their second service, their third, their fourth service. So they're an attender. And then we have to help those attenders to join the church. Join the church means they say, I'm in. They're going to contribute in some way. And then finally, we want to create champions. So we need to have that clarity. Here's Pastor Lucas. He's in Michigan, Cornerstone Church. We helped him rebrand. You can see on the lower part of the screen there, the old logo. By the way, that branding served them really well for over 20 years and helped them to grow well over 2,000 people in attendance on a weekend. So it did a great job. But what they began to see was a plateau take place with the momentum of their church. And they realized we need a new brand, a fresh way to present ourselves to our city. So we created the new branding, the new logo, went through the branding process, provided a lot of clarity for them. And here's what Pastor Luke had to say. He said, we were able to design a beautiful website, logo, and graphics to reach our community. We have seen an increase in attendance and new members since rebranding. So listen, rebranding is about looking good. Yeah, that's part of it, but the result is what we need. It's what you need. It's what I want to help you get through my branding course and what I want to offer you today. The results are to get people to show up, more people to show up, and more people to be a part of the church. Again, a logo is part of it. So I want to teach you through the branding course, what is a good logo design? What are the different types of logos? What is the right design for your church? From there, I'll give you some examples. In fact, over 100 examples, so you can see what the great churches look like, and then you can begin to design in that direction. So when I say you design, maybe you are a designer. My hunch is you're probably not. But you can at least give a good designer that knows what they're doing plenty of direction so they can win and help you to win in your city. This is Christ Walk Church. We talked about them a little bit earlier, but this is their branding. This is their logo. This is the color scheme that we ended up coming up with for them to reach that beach-going community that's just laid back and chilling, and having a good time. This is Evangelistic Center. It looks completely different. This is an inner city, urban area. So we're creating a brand that's reaching that community. Pastor Justin Vaughn, I worked with him to help him create this new branding, and it's done amazing things for the church. It's been great to see it take root and really flush out, be fruitful over time. He said Michael reshaped how we thought about ministry. So anyway, he said we are now a church that is equipped to reach the world today and tomorrow. Evangelistic Center has grown in attendance, volunteers, and in donations since rebranding. And those results speak for themselves. That's exactly what we want to do, is to help you see those increases take place in the right areas of your church. So great, we in the branding course, I unpack the mechanisms that'll help you take each of these steps. There's specific things that you can do, that you can create to help strangers become a first-time guest. I want to show that to you. I want to show you how to turn guests into attenders. One example, just going to submit to you your website. Your website is a mechanism to help strangers become that first-time guest, and you have to get it right. So it's a big part of my branding process of like helping you get your website. It's the front door. It's what people look at first. If somebody gets invited to come to church, they pull out their phone and they look at the website, and then they decide is this for me or not. I want to show you just real quick one example of Montgomery. They have a website that we created for them that now helps people to understand them quickly and then allows people to take their next steps to come to the church. So it's just the right experience to point people to the right places of the church so that they can find out exactly what they need to find out to answer the questions that they have. So that's the point of a great website. It's not about how great we are. It's a guide to serve the people that are visiting your church and help them understand you quickly. By the way, this is the old website. So you can see a big difference in the user experience, the way it looks and feels. The old website is just a lot going on, very busy. They're communicating a whole lot of different things, but there's not a focus to it. The new website, the new branding, and the new logos. This is the old logo at the very top on the left. This is the new logo up here that we created for them. And then we also created this really nice web experience for them. So like step 1, step 2, step 3, very, very clear next steps that people can take so that they can understand very quickly what it looks like to be part of the church. So we're also building this on a thing called Divi. Divi is a WordPress website. So WordPress is the #1 website builder in the world. So that's a great tool. What I believe is in creating professional level brands, professional level websites, so you get the best results. And then Divi is one of the top builders. It's the top 3 builders out there that allows you to drag and drop and place things in there so you can update the site easily and quickly. I love Divi, and it's something that we found over many, many years of doing this that is a great tool for churches. So another tip for you just to get things started on this process. So again, I hope this video is adding a ton of value to you. What I want you to understand is this. A bad logo and a bad website is costing you as a church. People aren't coming because of what they're seeing, and you need to get this right. So I want to guide you. I want to provide, there's a branding course I'm going to present to you here that'll help you get this right. If this is you, then I want to make sure that you have access to it. I want to help you get the logo right for your church, and I want to give you the right template for your website. So I actually give you, in my course, templates that'll help you build the right pages of your website in the right way from a marketing perspective so people understand you and say, hey, that's exactly what I need in my life. So you don't have to come up with the words. They're already there. You even have sample photos and everything that you can use just to get you started. And then ultimately you can customize that. But again, I'll give you all those things in the branding course. So don't be like most churches that use a volunteer to design their logo and their website. What you do matters too much. Get a guide. Now, if your volunteer is a high-level branding person, then that's awesome. But more than likely, they're not. This is where you need to invest. Get a guide, somebody that knows exactly what to do. It'll be well worth the investment. You were called to be a minister of the gospel, not to be a brand specialist, not to be a graphic artist or a web developer. So if you want to get further faster, if you want to save countless hours and thousands of dollars, you need to get a proven system. And my branding course is that system. I want to help you get it right. It's not going to cost you all that expense of getting it wrong. So branding, another problem people have with branding in church world, that when I talk to them, they're saying, wow, it's a really expensive process to brand. And the truth is, yeah, it is actually pretty expensive to brand. Businesses are willing and ready to pay over $50,000 to get this right. A lot of the bigger churches will pay $30,000 or more to get their brand right. But the investment is worth it. Like whatever you put into it, when you get it right, it returns to you. You have to look at it as not an expense, but it's an investment to help you get everything right that creates a supercharge. So everything you do is supercharged, so it's even more effective. That's what a great brand does for your church. This is for people who think like this. They think that like as a church, they're going to do anything short of sin to reach those far from God. Craig Rochelle said this, and that's how he's built his church, Life Church. It's one of the biggest churches in the world, multiple campuses over many states, and that's his mentality. And if you have that mentality of like, man, you just have to get the gospel out there. Maybe you're frustrated right now thinking there's got to be more to what we're doing than and the results that we're seeing right now. Then you're probably in this ballpark. And I want you to check this out. Check out my course. You have a choice to make. Are you going to be the best kept secret in town? Or are you going to get the right playbook? And just make sure that you do everything you possibly can to reach the people in your city. Join over 300 churches that have taken my branding process and applied it and have seen amazing results. There's actually a page on my website where you can go and you can see testimonials of many different pastors that have gone through this process and what they have to say about it, the results that they've seen. There's even some in-depth case studies that allows you to dive deeper into, like, here's exactly what I did to help these churches. And all this stuff is included in my course. So again, if you're a large church, you might have the ability to hire an agency to come in, and it might be a great thing for you to do. But this branding course will help you bridge the gap. So if you're not ready for that, if you're thinking about it, the branding course will help you figure this out, or it might help you even go on and do it yourself with your team. So it'll help you. The branding course will help you cut through the noise to bridge the gap between who you are and those that you pursue. That's what ultimately my goal is in creating this branding course. So again, you might pay over $30,000 to have an agency come in and do it all for you. In fact, I have a branding package where it's probably my most popular branding package. It's for most churches to be able to do. So it's over $12,000, and it's done for you. I come in and I do this stuff for you. Sometimes I do a workshop. A church network might come in and have me do a workshop. It's like a $3,000 workshop that I just work through branding with several different churches in the room, and we walk through this workshop process. So I want to give you an idea of cost. Like, what's the cost of branding? Again, it's an investment. It's well worth it. You're going to get it back. In fact, Outreach Magazine did a survey, and they found out that on average, for every new attender that comes to your church, it averages out to about $1,000 a year of revenue. So again, I'm talking like on a business side and revenue and all that stuff. This is not even talking about the spiritual side, the life change side of things. So we're talking, how do you get that investment back that you put into it? Well, new people coming will help you get the investment to come back. In the branding course, here's what you get. You get the training videos where I walk you through all the different things that we've talked about, and plus more that we didn't have time to talk about. There's interviews with different pastors, so you learn from their perspective. What does this look like? There's proven strategy. I'm going to walk you through strategy first. It's not about great looking logos. I mean, it is, and I will teach you how to do that. I will show you how to do that, and I'll give you the resources to design a great logo. But the thing that's next level is to get the right strategy. And that's what I'm going to spend a good amount of time just helping you unpack that for your church. It'll make the biggest difference. It creates alignment, brings everybody together. I will show you how to do training or logo. I'll train you how to do that, to design the right logo. Whether that's you and you know how to use Adobe Illustrator, that's awesome. More than likely it's not. But I will show you how to get the designer that you use to then design the right logo. Again, the website, I'm going to give you templates that are done for you. So beautifully designed pages for your website, over 10 pages of your website that are just the right pages, and they're already designed. The right wording's already in there. So I've already figured it out. You'll just be able to download it, upload it to your site, and go. Now, you will have to get a WordPress install with Divi. That is something I'm going to teach you about. Again, it's a professional level, but we'll talk more about that in the course. At the very least, you'll be able to see my templates and then be able to apply it with whatever website builder you're using. I'll give you a font guide, a color guide, and a customizable brand document that'll help you pull everything together so that over time you create a brand that builds trust. And that's the key. So the branding course, I've priced it at $997. So $1,000 for this branding course. And the idea behind the pricing is that, man, I really believe, just through my experience, that I can get at least one person to come to your church. And I say but through this process, the course, and when you implement it, I believe very strongly that at least one new person will come to the church to where the investment pays for itself. Now, I really believe you'll see much more than that, and it'll be great. So Go Church went through my process. They're in Atlanta, and they saw a 27% increase in attendance after going through this process. Vibrant Church, we talked about them before. On their opening day, 387 people coming out to their first service. We know the first service is something that people blow up, but within the first 7 months, they had an average attendance of over 200 people. And that's before COVID hit, and because they had so much momentum going into COVID, even as a new church, they'd only been up for about 7 months. They were healthy and strong throughout all of it, all the shutdowns and everything. Evangelistic Center, they reported back in that through the branding process, after we went through that, they saw a 30% increase in giving. We set up online giving for them, and just was able to help them walk through the website and the web experience for their people, to where that became a great tool for them, and they saw a great increase. So here's the final thing. There's 100% money get back guarantee for the course. If you get the course and you don't feel like it's for you for any reason, just ask for a refund. There's 100% refund. And for a limited time only, I'm going to drop that price point from $1,000 to $250. So $247. You can get the course right now, just for a limited time. I hope you get into this. Let me help you. Let me be your guide to get this branding right for your church. Again, it might just be the missing thing that you need, that takes the message you already have and the great experience you already have and presents it to the world in a way where they see, wow, I need that. So get the branding course. Let's get started. Let me be your guide.